Katherine Legge will be making 7 more NASCAR starts this season, and Kyle Larson says there's no plans to do the double for a 3rd year in a row. Welcome back to Break Hard. I'm Matt. It's 65 degrees out. I'm going to mow the grass for the first time this year. Things are good right now. We're going to get into the news today, though. We're going to start off with Katherine Legge, who will be making 7 more NASCAR starts in the 2025 season. Of course, Katherine Legge found herself at the center of an absolute firestorm back at Phoenix a few months ago when she made her NASCAR Cup Series debut, the first woman to race in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2018. She makes her Cup Series debut and she wrecks twice, spins out twice. First time, no contact. Second time, she ends up taking out Daniel Suarez in that race as well. And then there was a ton of controversy around that. Should she have been allowed to even enter the race? Does NASCAR need to have a stricter, licensing policy for the NASCAR Cup Series? And it opened up a bunch of debate. And honestly, I'm glad that that debate did happen, because I do still believe that there should be a structured licensing system for the NASCAR Cup Series. It's unfortunate for Katherine Legge because ultimately she was always kind of set up for failure. Phoenix probably isn't the place that she should have made her NASCAR Cup Series debut. She maybe should have done something like Martinsville, like when Casey Mears came back, 2 weekends ago and made his return to NASCAR. That's probably something that she should have done in that situation. But whatever. Now she kind of has an idea on what to expect, and she'll be making, as we know, 7 more starts, but right now only 3 dates have been announced. She'll be making 2 NASCAR Xfinity Series starts on ovals, one next weekend at Rockingham, and then she'll be making another one at the Charlotte Oval in May. She'll have sponsorship from Elf Cosmetics, who sponsored her ride at the Indy 500 last year, and that's something else we also learned. She will not be attempting the Indianapolis 500 this year, so the 34 announced entries for the 500, those are the 34 that are going to be happening, and that means one driver will go home on bump day. Katherine Legge will not be there. She'll also be making another NASCAR Cup Series start, this time at Mexico City in June on a road course, which is probably a good thing. Katherine Legge, very successful on road courses. She has IMSA wins. She's got wins, and I believe that Jaguar I-Pace series that partnered with Formula E, and she did that in Mexico as well. So I think that's a really good spot for her to be in. It is interesting that she's picking Mexico City, and if she's doing it with BJ McLeod again as well, that's a pretty extensive travel for that team and for her and everything to get down there. Obviously, it's shorter than going out to a Sonoma, but it is still a big ask to move the transport and everything down there. So I think it's good that she's going to go down there and run that race. Because it's going to be a big time event, and for her sponsor, it's going to mean a lot of exposure as well. And it goes international. And I don't know anything about cosmetics. I assume Elf Cosmetics is not just a United States-based brand and only sells within these borders. I imagine they sell all over the world. But for Katherine Legge, I'm glad that she's getting further oval experience. I'm glad she's doing it in the Xfinity Series. Obviously, that is a feeder system, right? That is where you go to learn how to, race and eventually move up to the Cup Series. So we'll see how she does there. The team that she's going to be racing for, it appears to be Jordan Anderson Racing. At least that's the car that was used in the promo shots, the JAR number 32 car. So can expect that on the Cup Series side of things. No mention there from her or team. But regardless, Katherine Legge back for 7 more races in 2025. Today's video is sponsored by Driven Sunglasses. These are the Camber sunglasses. When I tell you I wear them literally every single day, I do. Every photo that you see of me outside, I'm wearing these sunglasses. I wear them on dog walks. I wear them when I'm mowing the yard. I wear them to the racetrack. These sunglasses are absolutely phenomenal. Head over to drivensunglasses.com today. Use code BREAKHARD at checkout for 20% off plus free shipping. Kyle Larson and Tony Kanaan were on the Dale Jr. download this week, and they talked about a number of different things, basically everything centered around the Indianapolis 500, and Larson says currently there's no deal in place to run the double for a 3rd year in a row in 2026, which we kind of always knew that. This was always a 2-year deal. Jenna Fryer from the Associated Press first reported that, 2 years ago, basically, at this point, that there was a deal in place for 24 and for 25, and Larson, of course, had an interrupted attempt at the double in 2024 when rains came for the Indianapolis 500. The decision was ultimately made to keep Larson in Indianapolis and run all 500 miles and then get him to Charlotte. I was shocked that day when I was sitting in the rain in my car at the parking lot in Indianapolis, and I saw the tweet that said Kyle Larson would stay at Indianapolis to run the 500, and that became the priority. And that was very surprising, and also apparently very surprising to all the folks at One Daytona as well. And now he reiterated once again. They've reiterated this so many times. I think everybody knows that Kyle Larson will be in Charlotte for the start of the Coca-Cola 600. Helen Keller is aware that Kyle Larson will be in Charlotte for the start of the Coca-Cola 600 at this point. But him not having a deal in place to run it for a 30 in a row, not a surprise. And Larson said, honestly, if he had a good run at it last year, he said maybe he doesn't do it in 25, this year. So obviously, last year, the rains ruined his chances of getting to Charlotte to run the 600, but at the 500, he was very impressive. A P5 starting position, a monster run for him as a rookie with very little experience in an IndyCar, especially on ovals. Middle of row 2 start, yeah, that's sketchy in itself, and then ultimately was on pace to have a top 7 finish in the race probably until an untimely pit road speeding penalty cost him, and he ends up finishing P18 on the day. Disappointing finish, and then of course never made it to Charlotte, and made it to Charlotte, but was never able to get into the car. And it was a pretty bad weekend for Larson. He put out a long statement after the weekend. It was like talking about how disappointed he was for his team and everybody else, especially for the 5 team. And I don't think he wants to let those guys down again. They had a very fast car. Justin Allgaier ended up with a P13 finish there. In that race, I think Kyle Larson probably could have potentially won that race if he had been able to get in that car and have it run to completion as well. But for Larson, he did also mention that he wants to add another series to his racing resume, and he's looking and in talks to join the Supercars, the Australian Supercar Series, for their final round in Adelaide. And in typical Kyle Larson fashion, he's like, there's also a sprint car race happening that weekend as well, so he's trying to double up on it, which is exactly how I approach most of my vacations. My girlfriend's like, oh, I want to go on vacation. I'm like, hey, we can go here because, hey, maybe we can also catch the race when we're here as well. It always works out pretty well, guys. So I'm just saying, if you're looking to take a trip, you want to take a weekend trip to Chicago, girlfriends love Chicago. Maybe your boyfriend loves Chicago. I don't know. But girlfriends love Chicago. There's a race right there, super walkable. My girlfriend refers to Chicago as the girlfriend race because she thinks it's perfect for you to take your girlfriend to. I'm just saying, there's that. You can go to Florida. You don't have to stay in Daytona. I would probably recommend not staying in Daytona, but you can stay north or you can stay south of the racetrack and get a beach vacation out of it. You can go to Sonoma, wine country, explore San Francisco. I'm just saying, there's some options out there if you want to try to partner a vacation with a race. You can enjoy the race, then your partner can enjoy vacation as well. I'm headed to Hawaii for a couple weeks because she's there on a work trip. There's no racing happening in Hawaii, but you can bet your butts I found out where there's a old racetrack at in Hawaii. Turns out there's an active racetrack on Maui. It's not running the weeks I'm going to be there, which is super unfortunate because I absolutely would have hopped on the plane and gone over to watch that because I think it would have just been electric. But there are some lost speedways on Oahu, or at least 2 of them that I could find so far. And guess what? I'm going to go find them. Even though they're not actually there anymore, I'm going to go to the spot and find them because, hey, it's all about partnering things. And that's what Kyle Larson is trying to do here, partner a race with the Australian Supercars and get a sprint car race down in Australia as well. So let me know in the comments what you think about Katherine Legge coming back to run 7 more races across the NASCAR Xfinity Series and Cup Series this year, as well as Kyle Larson not doing the double again in 26 because he wants to, be able to, if he wants. One thing he did say is he wants to be able to put all of his focus into the 500, and right now he can't do that because obviously he has his NASCAR Cup Series commitments. So let me know what you think about that, and like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok at Break Hard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Break Hard Blog.